A Business Law Guide. Chapter 1. Business Law Info. Business Law Info. Business law information may be tough to find because information is all over the place. First, try the law section at the library, number 340-349, namely number 346.7106 or KE1658 or KF1659. Next, try the business section, number 650 to 659. 650 business and related. 651 office services. 652 writing. 653 shorthand. 655 printing and related activities. 657 accounting. 658 management, mail order, advertising, grants. 659 miscellaneous. Beyond that, there are two other business type sections that might help you. 330 Economics. 331 Work. 332 Money, Investing, Stock Market. 333 Land, Real Estate. 334 Cooperative Systems. 335 Collectivist Systems and Schools. 336 Public Finance, Taxes. 338 Production, Corporations. 339 Distribution and Consumption. 380 Commerce. 381 Internal Commerce, Shopping, Mail Order, etc. 382 International Commerce. 383 Postal Communications. 384 Communications, TV, Internet, etc. 385 Railroad Transportation. 386 Inland Waterway Transportation. 387 Water, Air, Space Transportation. 388 Ground Transportation. 389 Metrology and Standardization. State laws vary. There are federal laws that kick in at different numbers of employees in the company. If you have fewer than 4 employees, there are really no hiring or firing laws. You can do pretty much as you see fit. If you have less than 15 employees, you have a lot of personal control as to how you run the business. Federal discrimination laws do not apply, but some state laws will. If you have between 15 and 49 employees, federal discrimination laws and other laws kick in. If you have 50 or more employees, you're considered big time. You have to follow federal laws regarding family and medical leave, sexual harassment, drugs in the workplace, employee testing, discrimination, smoking, etc. The bigger you get employee-wise, the more necessary it becomes to clearly outline your policies in a manual and make it more detailed as you go along and deal with new situations. Some of the major federal business laws are as follows. Federal Trade Commission Act works to prohibit unfair and deceptive business practices, particularly in the areas of advertising claims and product labeling, ftc.gov. Clayton Act is against monopolistic practices and mergers that lower competition in a free market economy. Robinson-Patman Act prohibits the discriminatory pricing of a product based on factors other than trying to make a profit based on costs such as price fixing. Sherman Antitrust Act governs those practices that are contrary to fair, free trade like price fixing, offering different prices to different people or in different regions, limiting trade, deliberately excluding businesses, etc. Antitrust laws/monopolies. Antitrust laws are laws put into effect by the federal government to keep big companies from taking over the market on a product line, thus able to do as they please, including setting the price and getting rid of competitors. Antitrust laws, which have roots back to the Federal Trade Commission Act of 1964 and the Robinson-Patman Act of 1936, are controversial to this day because of the differences of opinion as to who should be protected more, small businesses protected from big corporations at the possible expense of the consumer, or should the consumer ultimately get the best deal even if it's a big corporation seemingly unfairly crushing the competition. The Sherman Act in the United States prohibits businesses from entering into contracts, combinations, or conspiracies to manipulate the market. Price fixing or making deals with competitors about what price you will charge is illegal. Insiders watch for complicity among the players who often like to brag or at least be smug about their doing. When Sotheby's auction house made a deal to charge same fees and commissions as Christie's in the 1990s, what gave them away was one of their vigilant customers who knew there was something going on, so he reported it. The biggest case in recent memory was the antitrust suit against Microsoft for dominating the software industry with Windows and including Internet Explorer with the package, thus giving them an unfair advantage over other browsers and search engines. Antitrust laws also come into play if you are a company buying another company, an acquisition, or a merger. There are antitrust restrictions that prevent you from buying your competitor's business and dominating the market if it's set up that way. The Department of Justice uses the Herfindahl-Hirschman Index, a mathematical formula which measures potential market concentration if one company buys another, and if this exceeds a certain level, they will oppose the sale. The Federal Trade Commission Act prohibits unfair competition that produces a monopoly and false or deceptive advertising. The Hart-Scott-Rodino Act is mainly for big companies who want to acquire another company in their field. They have to run it by the FTC and the DOJ, who investigate and decide whether to approve it or not. The Clayton Act, Section 7, prohibits acquisitions that may lessen competition or create a monopoly. The Sherman Act prohibits companies from merging if this would lessen competition or create a monopoly. It also covers illegal agreements by competitors to meet together and fix prices, set territories, etc. In general, there are two categories of restraints in antitrust laws. Vertical restraints, where manufacturers or wholesalers are not allowed to place conditions on the people they sell the products to who will resell them to the consumers. Some examples are: resale price maintenance. Can't dictate the price at which the reseller/retailer must sell your product. Exclusive dealership. Can't force the reseller/retailer to sell only your products and not sell a competitor's similar products. Geographic and customer limitations. Can't limit the area where the reseller/retailer will sell your product. Price discrimination. Selling to one or several resellers/retailers in one area at a lower price designed to undercut the competition and get rid of them. Tying. Forcing resellers/retailers to buy several products when they really only want one or two. Horizontal restraints are situations where in a particular industry, one or a few of the major players get together to either try to get rid of the competition through price undercutting or agreeing to raise the price to increase their profits. There are both federal and state antitrust laws. Antitrust laws take some heat because in a supposedly free country with a supposed free market system, the government comes in and interferes with the free flow of business. Monopolies, price fixing and price discrimination, offering different prices to different people, are all illegal but have many opponents because it's not a free market in action. In any case, they're technical laws that go through a slow, tedious process when charges are filed. The best way to deal with antitrust laws is to do preventive compliance. Hire an antitrust attorney to do an antitrust audit and develop a protection program for your company. Antitrust.org. Antitrustinstitute.org. stolaf.edu/people/becker/antitrust. usdoj.gov/atr, Antitrust Division. vanderbilt.edu/owen/froeb/antitrust, antitrust law. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/government-granted_monopoly. Unfair trade practices. Beyond antitrust laws, there are state unfair competition laws such as aggressively trying to steal your competition's customers. A manufacturer or broker who tries to intimidate retailers to sell at a certain price under threat of withholding product or any other threat. Any false statements you make about your goods or services. Bait and switch selling, advertising a product for a low price, then when the customer arrives at the store, they say the product isn't available and try to sell him a higher priced or lower quality one. Bribery. Copying another business's trademark, trade dress, patents, copyrights, etc. Deception in promotional contests. Disparagement of a competitor's products. Entering the transaction with any manner of attempt to fool or defraud the consumer. Giving some customers or geographic areas lower prices than in other parts of the country. Invasion of privacy. Making false negative statements against a competitor's products. Making representations that are misleading or deceptive, including verbal statements or advertising. Misappropriation of intellectual property. Price discrimination. Putting too much undue pressure on the consumer to enter a transaction. Pyramid selling, signing up distributors, making most of your money from the fees you charge them. Rigging the bidding in an auction situation. Safety of product. Selling a product for the higher price if there are two price tags on it. Selling a product for above the advertised price. Taking advantage of the consumer's inability to understand the transaction. Use of exaggeration, innuendo, or ambiguity in selling your products. Many other laws depending on the state you live in. If a consumer enters an agreement where he or she was induced to do so by a representation that was an unfair practice, the agreement may be rescinded any time within 6 months after making the agreement, and the consumer is entitled to any remedy available through civil court, including damages. If you feel you've been the victim of an unfair trade practice, write a letter to the business concerned stating that you believe they committed some manner of fraud or deception on you which renders the contract void, and unless they settle with you by paying you back for the cost of the product, you will sue them in civil court for the cost of the product, damages caused to you plus punitive and exemplary damages. Furthermore, tell them you will circulate the story through the media unless they pay up. In Canada, the Federal Act is the Competition Act, and most of the provinces have their own Unfair Business Practices Act. abanet.org/litigations/committees/keynotes_unfair.html, case notes, unfair trade practices. ftc.gov/bcp/policies/tmt/ad-unfair.htm, FTC policy statement on unfairness, list of unfair trade practices. Confidentiality agreement/non-disclosure agreement, NDA. A confidentiality agreement is a short legal letter that you can make up on your own or get your lawyer to make up, where you say that you will exchange information with either another individual or company and agree not to disclose it to anyone else. You can find standard forms on the Internet. A confidentiality agreement is most often used when an inventor or creator of something pitches it to a possible investor. There are confidentiality agreements for employers who want to their workers to not disclose company operations/secrets. They are also used if there is a legal settlement and one side wants the other to not disclose the details publicly. allbusiness.com/intellectual-property-non/3472244-1.html allaw.com/forms/employment/employee_non-disclosure, employee non-disclosure and confidentiality agreement. Confidentiality.biz. Confidentialitywizard.com. Consumer protection laws. Consumer protection laws are geared for three main things. Implied warranties: does the product do what it's supposed to do? Deceptive advertising, misleading claims. Packaging must not mislead consumer. Safety of the product. You can get the free Consumer Resource Handbook from pueblo.gsa.gov, 888-8 Pueblo. Consumer books are at number 640 at the library. The main magazines are Consumer Reports, consumerreports.org, Consumer Guide, and Consumer Digest. GaleGroup.com, 800-877 Gale publish the Consumer Sourcebook and Consumer Product Manufacturer Ratings. Refer to the Product Liability section for some information as well as the following consumer websites. Try number 640 or TX335 at the library. Adbusters.org. bbb.org/library. bbbonline.org. bbb.org/complaints/file.html. bizrate.com, reports on companies. consumerlawpage.com. consumersdigest.com. consumerreports.org. consumerwatchdog.org, cosmeticscop.com, Cosmetics Info, cpsc.gov, Consumer Products Safety Act, delphi.com/dir-login/index.asp, Consumer Discussion Forum, econsumerism.com, online shopping, fda.gov, Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, Fair Package and Liability Act, ftc.gov, Federal Trade Commission Act, ftc.gov/ftc/complaint, 877-382-4357, safishopping.org, technophile.com, thepubliceye.com, shopping on the web, thepubliceye.com/compelts.hdm, accepts complaints by businesses listed with them, trustee.org, only trusted companies can display its seal of approval, webwatchdog.com, geared for online shopping, webwatchdog.com/form/contactform.cfm. Contracts in general. Make every contract clear and plain that none afterwards complain. A contract is an agreement between two or more people or parties for any of a number of reasons such as marriage, buying or selling something, service, etc. In legal parlance, a contract is written as a. Many uninformed people mistakenly believe that all contracts are formal, legalized documents, but the fact is that every time you buy something or reach a meeting of the minds with someone on a point of business, you're entering into a contract. The formal definition of a contract is a promise or set of promises for the breach of which the law gives a remedy, or the performance of which the law in some way recognizes as a duty. There are generally 4 conditions of contracts. 1. Capacity of parties. The parties must be of sound mind and have the legal authority to enter into a contract. Minors can enter contracts but they can't be legally liable for them. 2. Mutual agreement, assent, also called a meeting of the minds. The two sides see eye to eye on the offer being presented. It is written up in clear, simple language. 3. Consideration given. The contract must have some value to it. 4. Legality. The contract has to deal with legal matters, not illegal ones. If someone promises you something and you accept, a contract is formed. The 2 defining aspects are the agreement and the obligation, each side agreeing to give up something to the other in exchange for a good or service. The courts recognize an objective theory of contract law, meaning that the real intention of the contract is what you make known to the other party, not what you might feel in your mind. Promises or agreements made on the basis of goodwill or natural affection are not legally binding in court. There are 2 aspects of a contract. The express terms. The implied terms. The express term is what you verbally agree to with the other person, the implied terms are the parts of the contract not stated but are assumed to hold in the normal course of doing business. For instance, if you call a friend up and ask him to work for you on the weekend and he agrees, you've just made a contract. You haven't talked wages but it's implied and you both assume that the wages will be fair and normal for the services rendered. Most contracts involve an exchange of money for goods or services, although some can be on a barter basis, an exchange of goods and/or services without the transfer of money. You don't need a lawyer to draft up the contract. If both sides agree, you can add modifications to the contract. Keep it simple. When in doubt, get your lawyer to look it over. Legally, the requirements for a legitimate contract are: both parties must be of sound mind and of legal age, usually 18. Oral contracts are valid but difficult to prove. Try to get it in writing. Certain contracts must be in writing to be valid, such as any land or property sales over $500, wills and co-signing a loan. The contract must be entered into by free will. There are certain allowances for naivete and duress, such as someone who is very young, very old, sick, or otherwise frail. These contracts can be righteously challenged in court if someone is thought to be taking advantage of such people. A contract does not have to be written in order to be valid and enforceable. It may be oral, and the breach of an oral contract is also grounds for a suit, but you would do well to have a witness to the event. Oral contracts are legally enforceable for consumer goods if the purchase price is under $500. Once payment is made on a product, even if it is not in writing, the seller cannot legally back out. In most cases, the courts will not let you back out of a contract just because you got a bad deal. They will only act if you were the victim of fraud or misrepresentation, which is a form of fraud. Services as opposed to goods must be in writing in order to be enforceable. However, the catch-22 to this is that they don't have to be in writing if they can be completed within a year, which, of course, most are. Some other transactions which require a written contract are the purchase or long-term lease of land, agreement to pay another person's debts, and purchases over between $500 to $1,000 depending on the state that you live in. A written contract can take virtually any form: a memo, receipt, a letter, or just an ordinary piece of paper. The important thing is the other person signs it in order to make it enforceable. If a contract contains lies or is party to some sort of fraud, it is immediately voided. Similarly, the law won't help you enforce a contract for illegal actions like winning money in a card game or buying stolen property. Many states have plain English laws that require contracts to be written in simple, basic terms such that they can be easily understood. This rule is frequently violated, so it's really your responsibility to make it your business to know what you're getting into before you sign. Read the contract before you sign it. Read the fine print. Some contracts hide important information in the fine print, like waiving the right to sue the other party should something go wrong. Read every word of an important contract. If there is something about a contract you don't like, bring it up to the other party and have the contract amended before you proceed. A legal contract doesn't necessarily require a lawyer. Simply put it in writing and have 2 to 3 objective witnesses that have no interest in the deal sign it. That should be enough to make it legally binding in any court of law, but to play it extra safe, many people choose to hire a lawyer to draw up their contracts. Many contracts in business are made up by the merchant, hence, unless you're able to negotiate, it's in a take it or leave it form. It's your responsibility to read the fine print before you sign it and become legally bound by its contents. If you don't agree with a provision and want to amend it, both parties must initial near the crossed out or amended line. Quite often in business agreements, the merchant will try to entice the buyer with oral promises in addition to what's in the contract. These are virtually useless unless you insist that it be written in as part of the contract. If buying a product that has yet to be delivered, get a delivery date on the contract. If you don't get it within 30 days, you have the right to cancel. In the furniture industry, deliveries for particular pieces sometimes take up to 6 months. When one party does not perform according to the terms of an agreement, the other party can sue for breach of contract. If your case is to be based on contract law theory, you must be able to prove that you had a valid contract and that the other party breached it. The validity of the contract depends upon several factors. One party must make an offer which the other accepts. There must be a legal meeting of the minds. Each of the parties must agree to do something, i.e., to either provide a good or service or to pay for a good or service. The courts have some latitude in determining the matter. They can either decide for substantial performance or negligence, the matter entirely subjective, left to the judge to decide. Substantial performance is a term that can be used to honor a contract even if your requirements are not met. If the person provides you with a reasonable facsimile of what you ordered, even if it's not exactly what you want, it could fulfill the contract unless you can prove otherwise, for example, if it's an eyesore or whatever. Many judges today realize that when a contract is made between a merchant and buyer, the merchant usually gets the buyer to sign a pre-made contract which gives him some advantage, so they often reject letter of the law enforcement and favor a more level-headed, broader view, taking the buyer's perspective into consideration. To prove fraud, the buyer must show firstly that the seller made a statement of fact which was false and known by the seller to be false at the time, and his intent was to deceive the buyer and the buyer believed him and was damaged as a result of this. A case of fraud would be if someone sold you something represented as new which is, in fact, used. Courts generally disregard hyping a product as fraud since those statements are only an opinion and not considered to be fact, and it's generally accepted as part of the generic sales process. A buyer can rescind a contract if the seller says something about it that is wrong. This differs from fraud in that the misstatement doesn't have to be intentional. Any misstatement is enough grounds to cancel the contract. There are some contracts called unconscionable contracts which are so unreasonable perhaps because one party is naive, one party is intimidating, or it's just such an outright rip-off that the courts render them void. Businesstown.com, dgcontracts.com, freelegalforms.com, legalissue.com, rjsventures.com. Contract law in business. Contracts can range from simple two-party agreements to a complex multi-party agreement. Generally, contracts are used to start, modify, or end a relationship. Very basically, a contract is a direct agreement or implied agreement, the violation of which can be remedied through legal means, usually money in compensation for the breach. The spirit of contract law is that there has to be a meeting of the minds between the parties involved called mutual assent, that the parties are of sound mind and come to an agreement, usually an exchange of goods and services for monetary compensation with a reasonable expectation that both sides will fulfill their obligations. Contracts don't have to be written in order to be enforceable, but it helps. If you can prove somebody made an oral contract with you, like have it on tape or have witnesses, you can pursue it in court if they violate it. Most business contracts are either business to business or business to customer. Contracts can be called a variety of names such as agreement, terms and conditions, order form, guarantees, warranties, limitations of liability or restrictions. Think of contracts as a set of laws you create with your CO contractor. They imply legally binding agreements. Even though in the olden days, a handshake was as good as a written contract, nowadays, all bets are off. A clearly worded contract keeps it crystal clear for both sides and covers as many contingency possibilities as possible, like what happens if something else happens. This is the way professionals do business these days. Everything is above board, written out as legal rules and regulations. If someone can't hack it or fulfill the contract, it's rendered void. This keeps everything straight so you can eliminate the bullshitters who don't follow the contract. If there was no contract, you would have to dilly-dally with some bullshitter to see where his head is at or get your part of the bargain. But if you make up a contract up front and see that this guy is violating it right from the get-go, it's a red flag for you that he's not honorable, so you should get out now to save yourself the grief later on down the line. For legal protection, make all contracts as specific as possible, covering every possible minor point you can think of, but don't be complex and tedious. Keep it simple and clear. Make each party sign an original copy of the contract. With simple contracts like I will do X service for you or give you Y number of widgets for Z amount of money, the service provider or product seller usually has a contract in place. If the potential buyer doesn't agree, they can either modify it between themselves, he can take his chances and go ahead with a contract he's satisfied with, or he can back out. With complex contracts, both usually make up their own terms, meet in a room somewhere where they and their lawyers hash it out, then the lawyers write up a draft, they hash it out all over again until both sides are relatively happy. The basic elements of a business contract are: the parties involved, subject matter, the product or services provided, recitals, incidental clauses, method and schedule of payment, delivery dates, deadlines, consequences/penalties of missing the due date, consequences/penalties of not fulfilling the contract, warranties, guarantees, conditions under which the contract can be terminated, who pays for what expenses, liability limits, time limit, inherent risks in undertaking the operation beyond control of the provider, like storm may postpone delivery on time, conditions for termination, conditions for a renewal. Can the contract be sold to a third party, a subcontractor? Obviously, a contract can only be altered if both sides agree to it in writing. A breach of contract is one party violating the terms of the contract wherein the other side can terminate the contract and possibly sue for damages in court, and if the violation is criminal, the violator could be charged criminally, which will strengthen the civil case if convicted. Even with all this legal talk about contracts, keep it simple. Don't go overboard. A big, long contract could scare some people off. Have a simple, basic one-page contract that covers the main points. Verbal contracts are meaningless unless you have witnesses or recorded audio or video of the deal. You don't have to hire a lawyer to draft up a contract for you. There are books and software that contain boilerplate contracts for a variety of generic situations, or you can simply write one up yourself in your own words. A contract is basically an agreement. Among honorable people it's a good thing, but if you're dealing with a schmuck, a contract won't protect you much. You will have to sue him and fight him in court, and if he's a scumbag, he will never pay you even if he loses. If you're given a copy of somebody else's contract to sign and it's a big deal for you, tell them you will take it home, read it and then sign it. If you see something you don't like, cross it out and put your initials besides. If you want to add a few statements, do it and initial it. Get an original copy for yourself and sign them both. If you see the word indemnify in a contract, it means that if there's a lawsuit, you agree to pay the other person's legal expenses. Try to deal with good people up front. Once a contract winds up in court for a violation, everybody loses. In the final analysis, everything I've read about contract law is relatively technical and complex. My best advice is to study contract law in depth before making a serious contract and get a contract lawyer. Refer to the Uniform Commercial Code/UCC, law.cornell.edu/UCC. Go to number 346 at the library. Go to the reference section. Find a law library in your local area. Chapter 2. Business Law 2. Contract Liability. The term contract liability describes any claims made against you alleging breach of the terms of the implied contract of the marketplace that purports your product does whatever function it's supposed to do. This is dependent on the quality of the product and how it's represented. It moves into the realm of deceptive advertising, misrepresentation, and fraud. If you claim you have a car that can get 100 miles to a gallon of gas and you don't, you're violating the implied warranty as well as lying about it. It's easy to prove the implied warranty. Every product on the market has it according to the American government, the Magnuson-Moss Act implemented by the Federal Trade Commission in 1975. If the customer suffered financial, physical, or other damages as a result of a defect in your product, he or she could bring an action against you for a breach of contract. It doesn't matter if your defect is innocent, negligent, or willful. Of course, if it's intentional, the punitive damages will be higher, but when you put a product out on the market, you have to have some accountability that it does what it purports to do and is safe. Tort liability is a violation of civil law generally directed at the public at large and often involves a defective product as a result of negligence. Anyone who has had a negative effect from the product can make a claim for damages against the manufacturer and everybody involved in the distribution chain. E-signatures/electronic signature software. There is a federal law called the Electronic Signatures in Global and National Commerce Act, also called the E-Signature Act or the Digital Signatures Act, that allows contracts involved in interstate commerce, between parties in different states, to be signed over the Internet through a process called the digital signature, electronic signature, or an e-signature. There are state laws similar to the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act/UETA for in-state transactions. An e-signature could be as simple as clicking onto an I agree icon, typing in a password or PIN number, or typing your name in and stating the word signature beside it. The means don't really matter as long as you both agree to do it and what constitutes it. They even have programs where you sign your name on something, feed it through the computer through a scanner, and either a person or machine verifies your signature. If you do money transactions such as with brokerage houses, they often have you type in a PIN number and an account number. Then after you choose a transaction, they ask a question verifying that you want that transaction, so when you click yes, that's your e-signature. E-signatures are valid if both parties agree beforehand to using them in their transaction. They are currently only used in business transactions and not in domestic contracts such as divorce, wills, or in the evictions and foreclosures of real estate transactions. DocuSign.com, EchoesIGN.com, eSignForms.com, Certify.com, Yozons.com, Hospitality Law/Hotel Law/Restaurant Law. topics.law.cornell.edu/wex/hotels_and_restaurants, law about hotels and restaurants. Internet Business Law info/internet laws for website owners. americanbar.org/bus/law/50703111.html, Internet Law. Non-compete and non-solicitation agreements. A non-compete clause is an agreement you make your employees sign before you hire them, stating that they won't steal your business ideas, trade secrets, methods of operation, clients, and take them to a competitor or start a related business on their own. Non-compete clauses in employee contracts are theoretically designed to protect you from this, but the legal protection they offer is not that strong. Non-compete agreements generally specify that your employees will not compete with you for a certain length of time, usually 1 to 2 years, almost never more, for a specific geographic locale, in a specific industry, in a specific subfield of an industry. Non-compete clauses are generally state laws and as such not as wide-reaching as trade secret laws. You have the right to ask your employee not to compete with you in a city, state, or region for a few years, but that's about it. He could still take your business ideas and set up business in another state on the other side of the country. Some state non-compete laws are stringent. Others aren't. The tough part about them is that you cannot prevent someone else from earning a living in their profession, so there's a fine line as to what constitutes a violation of the non-compete clause as opposed to another competitor setting up a business who just happens to be an ex-employee of Company X. If you want full protection for ideas you deem unique, either get a patent or get a lawyer to set up a trade secrets contract for you, which would mean employees can't use your business ideas nowhere, no how. If you have one of these clauses, an employee can't quit, set up his own company, then start taking your clients away. He's infringing on your client list. He has a perfect right to set up his own company, but he's not allowed to use your business ideas or methods or use your client/mailing list. Mark all sensitive documents that you don't want to be copied and used by others with a confidential stamp and a little note saying, "This information is the property of X Corp." Any unauthorized use is prohibited and illegal. Your best defense is to hire workers you perceive to be honest. Check with a business attorney to find out what the climate regarding non-compete clauses is where you live. If they are taken seriously and prosecuted, hire him or her to write an agreement that protects your business interests from exploitive employees. A non-solicitation clause is a bit more specific than a non-compete clause. It is an agreement you get your employees to sign saying that if they leave your company, they won't try to steal your existing customers for their own business interests, provided what they sell or do is related to what you sell or do in your business. This agreement lasts for a specific amount, usually no longer than 2 years. This applies regardless of whether they go to work for a competing company or start their own. Even though using these agreements might make you seem a little paranoid, if anybody gives you a dirty look or asks why, just say you learned from experience how to conduct your business and say nothing more. It could save thousands of dollars from either an ex-employee thinking twice before stealing your ideas or your recovery after you sue a violator in civil court. Without these agreements, you're SOL. Shit outta luck. Use your head. If you get a new employee blabbing his mouth about trade secrets from the last company he worked for, what'd ya think he's gonna do at his next company after he leaves you? Preventive law/internal audit/auditing your business. In business in general, the lawyers often do the routine contractual stuff and come in for serious business only after the managers have got into some kind of legal trouble. With preventive law, the accounting department and other departments meet up with the lawyers to do internal legal audits to safeguard the legality of what they're doing, expose wrongdoing and correct it before they get a big lawsuit from outside of the company. Also have an open door policy or an anonymous suggestion box which encourages employees to see wrongdoing like the female account with Enron to report it so it can be contained before it goes all out of control. The major reasons legal audits are conducted is to look for such things as doctoring accounting/banking records, using business assets for personal use, adhering to license and permit requirements, adhering to all federal laws namely tax law, labor laws, safety, environmental, equal opportunity, disability and for publicly traded companies, SEC laws, employment procedure, hiring, firing, conduct of employees, etc. Documentation of all motions and actions made by the board of directors/owners. Does the company adhere to all reporting/disclosure requirements made by the government, investors, and lenders? allbusiness.com/accounting-reporting/auditing. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/disaster_recovery_and_business_continuity_auditing. auditindex.com. Institute of Internal Auditors, Inc. 247 Maitland Avenue, Altamonte Springs, Florida 32701-4201. TheIIA.org. Self-protection from lawsuits. We live in a lawsuit-happy society where anybody can sue anybody with money, be it a disgruntled employee, a business associate, an unhappy customer, a con artist who fakes a fall in your retail establishment, etc. The best way to avoid lawsuits is to run a tight ship. Keep everything above board, especially taxes, because the government could be your worst enemy if you don't pay them. Have good management. Keep your paperwork in order. Don't doctor/fake anything like your records. Don't lie. Pay your bills. Deal fairly with everybody. Adhere to safety rules. Post safety signs up. Take quality control seriously enough to objective standards. Have your lawyer practice preventive law measures. Have written contracts for almost everything. Manage your cash flow so you have enough money to produce good product and pay your bills. Have a detailed company manual that covers every possible legal detail. Have a litigation plan set up as to what to do in case you get sued. Have your lawyer waiting and ready at all times. Try to resolve the lawsuit with either arbitration, mediation, or settling out of court. Sometimes, even if you are innocent, it's cheaper to settle than to bother with a trial. Even if you win, legal costs will often be more than an out-of-court settlement. Some companies disagree with settling even if it is cheaper. They want to fight lawsuits in order to preserve their integrity and send the message out that they're not pushovers who will cave into anyone who wants to sue them. After they win a few of these lawsuits, people get the message and stop suing them. Conversely, if you're a company who would rather settle, you might get a reputation as an easy mark and everyone will start suing you for that quick out-of-court settlement. Trade dress info. Trade dress is a concept similar to trademarks, which refers to the way a company presents itself to the public physically, its outer look, its layout, furniture, signs, paint color, packaging, atmosphere, etc. If someone tries to imitate it without permission, that's a trade dress violation. You just can't go into a McDonald's restaurant, take a bunch of pictures, copy all the ideas and designs of the layout and design a similar restaurant. They can sue you if they want. You can't just take a bag of chips off the shelf, copy its design and put it on your bags of chips. aicpa.org/pub/jofa/nov2002/prosser.htm, recent trends in trade dress law. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/trade_dress. Into.org, the development and evolution of trade dress law in the U.S. intellectlawgroup.com/tradeaddress.htm. Chapter 3. Buy legal insurance for your business. Prepaid legal services. If you run a business, you can buy peace of mind from lawsuits by investing in a prepaid legal services plan. These usually cost under $50 a month and you get unlimited consultation, will preparation, IRS tax audit service, representation in civil court, etc. If you're a general family man, you can still subscribe to these services for peace of mind. Contact the following for more information. Look in your phone book or internet telephone directories and type prepaid legal services into search engines. Some of these companies may be on the scamish side, but some are good. Think of it as legal insurance in case you get sued or something happens. abanet.org/legalservices/prepaid. Administrative solutions.com. aplzi.org. aragigroup.com. prepaidlegalplans.ws. prepaid-legal-services.biz. prepaidlegalservices.com. prepaidlegal-services.net. prepaidlegalservices.nbg.com. prepaidplans.com. Ridleinsurance.com. rightsplus.com/prepaid-legal/legal-service.html. American Prepaid Legal Services Institute. 541 North Fairbanks Court, Chicago, Illinois 60611. 312-988-5751. aplzi.org. Ask for list of prepaid legal services companies. National Resource Center for Consumers of Legal SVCs. POB 340. Gloucester, Virginia 23061. 804-693-9330. Law phone 4501 Forbes Boulevard, Langham, Maryland 20706. 800-255-3352. lawphone.com. Canadian Prepaid Legal Services. lsp.ca. cbc.ca/consumers/market/files/money/prepaid legal. Prepaid legal services fraud. There are a lot of people complaining that they buy a prepaid legal services plan then don't get the service they expected. Before you buy a prepaid legal service, type the company name into ripoffreport.com to see if they have complaints against them. Prepaidillegal.com, the Fraud Discovery Institute, investigating prepaid legal services. Helpproviders.com. MediaMogle.com. cbc.ca/consumers/market/files/money/prepaid legal. Legal insurance for business. illegalplans.com. 1st-insurance-shop.com. 2insurance4less.com. 3dquote.com. 5minutequote.net/businessquote.cfm. aarp.thehartford.com/homebusiness. aig.com. alanboswell.com/business_insurance. allbusiness.com. allbusiness.com/finance-insurance. summitpublicadjusters.com/business.htm, Philadelphia. allquotesinsurance.com. allstate.com/business-insurance.aspx. amandamarks.com/bizquote.php. amfm.com. amityinsurance.com. arizonaplans.com/smallgroupquote.htm. armnewyork.com. benefitmall.com/index.asp. bestbusinessquote.com. budget-quotes.com. business.com. businessinsurance.com. businessinsurance.com. businessinsurance.instantinsurancequotesonline.com. business-insurance-free-quote.com. businessinsurancequote.com. business-insurance-quote.homelifehealthautocarinsurance.info. business-insurance-quote.homelifehealthautocarinsurance.info. businessquote.com, 800-296-7985, 406-423-5428. Buybusinessinsurance.net. caribtrader.com. Centralins.com/bus_quote.asp, tuckerinsurance.service.com/pages/businessquote.hdm, chubb.com/businesses, columbusdirect.com/travel-insurance/business-travel-insurance.cfm, coolins.com, dollyb.com, daminsurance.com, dempseyinsure.net/business.hdm, bcarterinsurance.biz/businessform.html, ebusinessdirectory.ws, epli.com, the Small Business Insurance Center, federatedinsurance.com, fgib.com, insurance brokers to the financial industry, findinsurance.us, garrettinsurance.com/business_qt.hdm, geico.com, Geico Car Insurance, getfreeinsurancequotes.com, get-insurance.net, hanoverinsurance.com/thg/business, homegain.com, Home Business Insurance, iii.org/individuals/business, 3n.com, Insurance Industry Internet Network, ingenuitycorp.com, insuremmarket.com/products/small_business/index_sb, insurance.alloptions.com, insurance.capital.com, insurance.com, insurance4usa.com, insurancenoodle.com, insuranceorackley.com, some info about getting sued, insurancepro.com, insurancequotesnationwide.com, insure.com, insure.org, insureamericabusiness.com, insureclick.com, insuredbucinasusa.com, insurewow.com, lake-insurance.com, residents of Maryland and insweb.com, irmi-update.com, free business insurance newsletter, k3hy.com/chesapeakeinsurance/business.html, corexdon.com/business.asp, kinsurancecenter.com, noidins.com, business-insurance.lowcostinsurancequotes.com, kqzyfj.com, legalmatch.com/law-library/article/home-business-insurance.html, libertyinsurancequotes.com, libertymutual.com, lmcinsurance.com, lowestpremium.com, lowquotes.com, managementhelp.org/insurance/insurance.hdm, miainc.com/quote_business.shtml, Miller's Insurance Agency, Downingtown, PA, 800-242-1238, maradhanbusiness.com, mostchoice.com, multiserve.net/business_quote.hdm, myhometownagency.com, miownbusiness.org, miownbusiness.org/s5, nationaladvantage.com/business_quote, nationwide.com, nationwide.com/nw/business, netquote.com, newtkbusiness-services.com/insurance/legal_information.html, oasisinsurance.com, clarkinsurance.com/quotes/business_quote.asp, simmonsinsurance.com, jacksonvilleinsurance.com/businessquote.html, pavismccormick.com, New Brunswick, New Jersey, progressivecommercial.com, quotematch.com, realpitchsites.com/aacinsurance/businessquote, ridelinsurance.com, resumeminers.com/home-business/home-business-quote-project.htm, safeco.com, sb.thehartford.com, seanleans.com/businessquote.hdm, 2020insurance.com, mursons.com/busquote.html, starvayayans.com/business_quote.htm, smetoolkit.org, statefarm.com, techinsurance.com, texasinsurancezone.com, dwyer-insurance.com/business.htm, 888-389-4100, texasplans.com/texas_small_business.htm, thea.com/insurance/business-insurance.html, themoneyvibe.com, thunderbayinsurance.com, unitronbusinessinsurance.com, us.smetooolkit.org/us/en/category/1805/insurance-for-businesses, wausau.com, wcflinsuranceservices.com, wilsoninsurance.com/business.htm, womeninc.org, 800-930-3993, workingtoday.org, group insurance rates for independent contractors, zurichene.com/small_business_insurance.htm. Chapter 4. Canadian Business Law Guide. Canadian Business Law. hg.org/law-firm/business-law/canada.html, canadalawbook.ca, canadalawbook.ca/canadian-business-law-journal.html, Canadian Business Law Journal, Corporate and Commercial Law, canadalaws.com, Canadian law firm, business lawyers in Toronto, canadawebdir.com, Canadian Business Directory, Canada, canadianbusiness.com, canadianbusinessdirectory.ca, Canadian Business Directory, Canada companies only, canadianbusinesslaw.com, canadianbusinesslaw.com, canadianlawsite.ca, canadianlawsite.ca/corporate.htm, Canadian Business Law, Canadian Corporate Law, canadianlawsite.ca/start-business.htm, Canadian Law, starting a small business, canadian-lawyer.ca, canadiantechnologiepla.com, canlee.org/index_n.html, canlai, Canadian Legal Information Institute, casselsbrock.com, Casselsbrock, Toronto law firm, corporate lawyers, cim.ca/pradev/distanceduse/canbusiness-law, cim-hamilton.com/buslaw.htm, Canadian Business Law, cwilson.com, Clark Wilson LLP, BC's law firm for business, Vancouver lawyers, Canadian Bar Association, 500-865 Carling Avenue, Ottawa, on K1S 588, 800-267-8860, cba.org, Canadian Business License. Contact your provincial Canada Business Service Centre or your local Chamber of Commerce. Chamber.ca, fill out a form, pay about $150 and get a business license which has to be renewed every 5 years. Alberta. 800-272-9675. cbsc.org/Alberta. Manitoba. 800-665-2019. cbsc.org/Manitoba. Newfoundland and Labrador. 709-772-6022. cbsc.org/NF. Nova Scotia. 902-426-8604. cbsc.org/NS. Ontario. 800-567-2345. cbsc.org/Ontario. Quebec. 800-322-4636. cbsc.org/QC. British Columbia. 604-775-5525. smallbusinessSBC.ca. New Brunswick. 506-444-6140. cbsc.org/nb. Northwest Territories. 800-661-0599. cbsc.org/nwt. Nunavut. 877-499-5199. cbsc.org/Nunavut. Prince Edward Island. 902-368-0771. cbsc.org/pe. Saskatchewan. 800-667-4374. cbsc.org/sask. Yukon. 800-661-0543. cbsc.org/Yukon. Chapter 5. A Business Law Website Guide. Business law websites at dmoz-odp.org/society/law-information/business_and_corporate_law. Subcategories. Advertising law. Antitrust. Securities. Administrative lawyers. Business formation services. Business lawyers. Companies registries. Law and economics law journals. Organizations. Products. Resources. Weblogs. smallbusiness.findlaw.com. jdsupra.com. lexpert.ca. out-law.com. Business law websites. nas.org, National Association of Secretaries of State. nas.org/acr/acr.html, Administrative Codes and Registers section. nas.org/acr/internet.html, Access to rules by state. sba.gov/business-law. abanit.org, American Bar. academic.cengage.com. topics.law.cornell.edu/wex/joint_venture, joint venture overview. sba.gov/guides/business_law, business laws. sba.gov/guides/industries, business laws for specific industries. dol.gov/e-laws, employment law and facts. dol.gov/compliance/guide, employment law guide. print.com/intellp.htm, intellectual property. topics.law.cornell.edu/wex/partnership, partnership law. usbeta.gov, US Patent and Trademark Office. access.gpo.gov/congress/cong013, US Code. access.gpo.gov/nara/CFR, Code of Federal Regulations. access.gpo.gov/su_docs/aces, Federal Register. allbusiness.com/legalsecretbackgroundchecks.com/businesslaw.htm. allaw.com/topics/business_corporate. allaw.com/topics/business_corporate. anz.irv.uit.no/trade_law, international trade law. antitrust.org. antitrustinstitute.org. acil.org, international law. biz.findlaw.com. blogs.wsj.com/law. sheffieldnet.com/legalwitness.htm, mlm legal witness. bloomberglaw.com. business.com/directory/law. business.com/directory/law/international_law/countries. business.com/directory/law/state_law. sba.gov/laws, legal dictionary, lawyer locators, alternative dispute resolution, federal and state laws. business.timesonline.co.uk/tol/business/law. allbusiness.com/crime-law. business.timesonline.co.uk/tol/business/law. businessdictionary.com. business-law.freeadvice.com heed.home.igc.org/publications. businesslaw.gov. businesslawattorney.com. businesslaws.com. businessweek.com/smallbiz/servicecenter/legal.htm, legal advice, standard forms for business and government, and advice on small business insurance options. businessweek.com/smallbiz/servicecenter/legal.htm, legal advice, standard forms for business and government, and advice on small business insurance options. cotalaw.com. clabs.missouri.edu/tbrown/longarcs, law links. sysg.law.pace.edu, electronic library on international commercial law. cnmilaw.com. companycounselor.com, company counselor. consumerlaw.org. counsel.com, law links. courttv.com/library. csus.edu/obe/buslaw.html. desertlaw.com/business_law.htm. don'tgetsued.net, book for sale, a guide to help reduce your business's exposure to lawsuits. duvalbucinaslaw.com. eeoc.gov, equal employment laws. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/academy_of_legal_studies_in_business. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/fair_trade_laws. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/international_trade_law. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/list_of_business_law_topics. entrepreneur.com/management/legal issues. entrepreneur.com/starting a business/startup basics/legal issues/article 175142.html, start a business without getting sued by your former employer. e-zlegal.com/businesslawlibsoft. fairmeasures.com, Fair Measures Management Law Consulting Group. financehub.com/legal/index.html, law links. findlaw.com. ftc.gov, Federal Trade Commission. google.org/top/lawyers_and_law_firms/business_and_lawyers_north_america/united_states. hg.org. inter.law.com. janweb.icdi.wvu.edu, Americans with Disabilities Act. kentlaw.edu. law.com. law.cornell.edu/topics. law.cornell.edu/ucc/ucc.table.html, Uniform Commercial Code. law.cornell.edu/uscode. law.csuohio.edu. law.emory.edu. law.indiana.edu/law/bizlaw.html. law.indiana.edu/law/lawindex.html. law.indiana.edu/law/lawtalk.html. law.net. law.pit.edu/pike/ne96.htm, business resources. law.uc.edu/ccl, Center for Corporate Law. law.uc.edu/ccl/index.html, Center for Corporate Law. law.villel.edu. law.villel.edu/amder, legal writing. lawguru.com. lawinfo.com. lawntea.com.au. Australia. lawoffice.com. lawsandregs.com. lawsoc.org.uk/index.html, Law Society Britain. lawyers.com/business-law. lawyers.com/business-litigation businessandlaw.com. shepherdmullen.com, business lawyers. lectlaw.com/bus, business law. Legal.net. legaldocs.com. legalmanda.com, legalmanda. legalmanda.com, legalmanda. legalmanda.com, mergers and acquisitions, M&A, legal issues. legaltimes.biz. lexuslawpublishing.com. ljx.com, law journal extra. megalaw.com. mergers-acquisions.expertwitness.com. cybercrime.gov/ecommerce.html. mindspring.com/wfl, lemon car page. mralobetize.com. mwe.com. mycounsel.com/content/smbusiness/employment law. mylawyer.com. ncsc.dni.us, National Center for State Courts. nalo.com, Small Business Startup Kit. nalo.com/legal-encyclopedia/business-llcs-corporations. nalo.com/resource.cfm. notice.com/lawyerfind.html. oig.hhs.gov/fraud/docs/safe harbor regulations/safefs.htm, federal anti-kickback law. parsonsbehellaw.com, Parsons Behel and Latimer, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, and Reno business law. quickmba.com/law. quickmba.com/law. rbvdnr.com. riskweb.bus.utexas.edu/legal.html. secretbackgroundchecks.com/businesslaw.htm. self-counsel.com, books. smallbusiness.findlaw.com, small business lawyer. smallbusiness.findlaw.com/business-laws-regulations. entrepreneur.com/magazine/home office mag.com/2002/october/5585 html, surviving small claims court. smallbusiness-lawfirms.com/regional-business-lawyers.cfm. stenarlaw.com. taft.law.uc.edu/ccl. tdslaw.com. thebeislawyer.com. theconglomerate.org. toolkit.cch.com. traverselegal.com. traverselegal.com. uselaw.com. vanderbilt.edu/owen/froeb/antitrust, antitrust law. vanderbilt.edu/owen/froeb/mgt352, business law. webcom.com/tilde-luros/home.html, advertising law. wharton.upenn.edu. American Bar Association. 740-15 Th Street, NW. Washington, D.C. 20005-1019. 202-662-1000. abanet.org. Canadian Bar Association. 500-865 Carling Avenue. Ottawa, on K1S 588. 800-267-8860. cba.org. World Business Law websites. glan.gov, Global Legal Network. law.cornell.edu/world, International Trade Law. doingbusiness.org/law library, law library, doing business across 178 countries. Advertising law websites. advertisinglawplaybook.com. bbb.org/membership/codofad.asp, Better Business Bureau's Code of Advertising. mmaglobal.com/mobileadvertising.pdf, Mobile Advertising Guidelines. advertisingstandardsbureau.com.au, Advertising Standards Bureau, Australia. advertisinglawplaybook.com. bbb.org/membership/codofad.asp, Better Business Bureau's Code of Advertising. tushnet.blogspot.com, blog about false advertising and other topics related to Section 43(b) of the Langham Act. advertising.utexas.edu/research/law. advertisinglaw.com. bbb.org/membership/codofad.asp, Code of Advertising. consumer.gov. poseynaklaw.com/articles/falsad.htm. silverdisk.co.uk/articles/sm-law. zsrlaw.com/publications. A list of business law podcasts at blog.feedspot.com/business_law_podcasts. anchor.fm/arnaldo-brown4. awbfirm.com/blogs/news. backtracks.fm/discover/s/business-law-u/772-42C4A54A53F. bennettjones.com/podcasts. businessoflaw.net. china-business-law-podcast.simplecast.com. directory.libcn.com/shows/views/id/sound laws. feeds.buzzsprout.com/666235. feedspot.com/media-contact-database?@_src=blog. go-legalyourself.libcn.com. gravity-legal/tag/financially-legal-episodes. harrisbricken.com/glb podcast. iono.fm/c/5666. sbracre.com/show/the-legal-babe-podcast. Corporate law websites. aratical.org/corporations. martindale.com/corporate-law. corporate-law.widener.edu. law.uc.edu/ccl/sldtoc, Center for Corporate Law. nasdr.com/3220, State Securities Regulators. sec.gov, Securities and Exchange Commission. securities.stanford.edu.